out to the park and shot some moose and stuff.
You got the bug, you had to do it, right? That's good, yeah.
So do you
OG.
do you want to like talk? You want us to just answer your questions? You're recording.
I mean, if you had questions that you had thought of about the episode, I'd be happy to answer them. I had like an idea of some things to talk about, but if you guys want to,
you go first.
Why don't you go first?
well, I mean, Best Shot. That was a job. That was a couple years ago now. That was a job I did with a friend of mine who's a director. This guy Michael Warren, who I met working on a film as an assistant a few years before, and through some circumstances, the editor had to leave, and I was there as the assistant, and we ended up working together. It was a concert film documentary, and we ended up working together closely on the thing, and we got along, and he could see that I could edit. We did another job together, and then like a year after that, he hired me to be like a junior editor on this show, Best Shot, that was a series for YouTube. I don't know if they're still doing it, but they were doing original content, trying to compete with Netflix and all the others. So they had some money for this, like, docu-series about a high school basketball team in Newark that they had found, this Newark Central, and the coach, Sean McCrae, and they were just like really taken by all the people that were there and the program, and so it was a big team, and it was really fast. There was a lot of shooting, and we were editing like at the same time, which was new to me. It was sort of like Michael Warren and some of the crew came from like reality world, which is very, very fast. You have large crews in the field shooting and in the edit rooms, and you have multiple crews, and you have people who are going back and forth, who are communicating, okay, we see this storyline developing, and go follow this person more, where this is working, this isn't, and that has a certain look, like a reality show has a certain look, and there has become this in-between where we want it to be an elevated, artistic documentary vibe, but really fast and very with a little bit of that reality run and gun infrastructure mentality. So the schedule was like, we had 8 episodes to do, and we were shooting, and it was like, I want to say it was like 4 months maybe in total, like the whole thing, which is pretty fast. And so we had 6 editors working eventually at the same time, and a couple assistant editors. And I was editing, but kind of like helping the assistants as well. So it was a new kind of a job for me, and it was a new like level of complexity, and it was cool. And the collaboration was the main thing. How's it going? Max. Dejan. Nice to meet you. No, I was just talking about the show that I worked on. If you got to see it.
Who edited the basketball thing we watched yesterday.
On the team, big team. I was just saying, like,
Great edit.
it was a big team. That's what I was just saying. It was 6 editors who were we took scenes because it was so fast. Be like, okay, this scene where they're cutting kids, this scene where they're, the practice scene, like you do that. I'm gonna do this other scene where they meet, whatever, and then figuring out. And then you have these scenes that are all a couple minutes. Eventually, you watch these scenes separately together. We would get together in the mornings and sort of watch everyone's work, whatever the latest version of each scene. And you got a big board once you have scenes that you like, and you're like, okay, where do these scenes fit in terms of an episode? What's an episode? What's the story of an episode? What do we have that works? And you start to then, then that was what I was doing a little bit, is like taking a bunch of scenes and putting them together, building them into like a larger episode. And at first it's like an hour and a half. It's like way too long, obviously, at first. And you watch it and you're like, okay, this, maybe this whole scene, need in this episode, maybe put this to the side, maybe go somewhere else. Maybe these scenes can get shorter. And it was a very organic, fluid process like that. And one person would maybe own an episode in full for a little while, or it would break back apart into scenes if they needed more work, and they would come back together. And it was this assembly line kind of a thing, which was cool, which was new for me, especially like, because I did a lot of assistant editing work before that, which is more like your main thing is keeping everyone organized, and you're not doing the like visualizing creatively like how to tell the story. You're supporting the editors and people like computer stuff and media and all this shit. So it was a really cool opportunity for me to spend time like with the creative part of it in this like kind of fast-paced environment. And I was able to work with like a bunch of editors who were more experienced than me, so I could see, you know, how they do things. Yeah, so it was like, that was the thing that was cool about it, was the collaboration and this sort of elevated, I was saying it's sort of like reality, but artistic, and like really taking the time rather than just trying to like make it make sense, because that's reality. Make it make sense, like make it punchy, like make it work, get it out the door, and we had a little bit of time, which was cool. And yeah, like everyone got really attached to the kids, and throughout the season got really, you know, the whole team was really like rooting for them through, you know, the whole season.
So how many episodes are there in total?
8. Yeah, we only did 8. They were talking about doing season 2, and I don't know, it didn't work out.
So what did it originally show on?
It was originally on YouTube original, and then it was, you know, licensed whatever by ESPN2 at some point. It aired on ESPN2, and now it lives basically on the NBA YouTube channel. They sort of did their version of it. When we made it, that was 2018. I think it came out, so it was a couple years ago now. Yeah.
So if you said there might be a season 2, when you think?
Not anymore. I think it's dead now. This was like talks. They were talking about doing one in LA maybe.
I think I should make a season 2.
I would love it. We would love it. I mean, yeah, hit up NBA. Yeah. I'll forward it along. No, I mean, I remember when the pilot went up, just seeing the comments on YouTube were like incredible. It's like, that's part of why when you asked me what to show, it is still like the most positive, you know, experience that I've had on a job, definitely. And the response was like wild. I was expecting there to be one because everyone really enjoyed it, working on it. And we did a screening at a theater in Newark with all the kids and everybody. Like, it was awesome.
So we're learning like what makes up a film.
Yeah.
Video, like the ingredients.
Right.
So, you know, when I describe this to people, I say it's a basketball video. But if you think about it, I was watching it for the second time, and then I say, if you think about it, it's really probably 20% basketball and 80% the story of Newark, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So who, in this, you know, all these editors and
Yeah.
tell us the structure of who makes these decisions,
Yeah.
how does it happen, and you know.
Yeah, I mean, everyone is different. Every film is a little bit different depending on, you know, to start it's very hierarchical. Usually you have like a director if it's a film, or on this, you have a showrunner, director who is kind of the end all, like who hires people who make decisions, but who is like, if there are questions, they're the last like yay or nay on things. But because things have to move quickly, like people are making decisions constantly. So you have like story producers on something like this. You have people who are out shooting, who are directly like communicating with the subjects, with the people that you're filming, who are, because of that, like, you know, you have people with the actual cameras and the sound recorders, people who are out in the field, who are being told, you know, like, we're going here to shoot this, tryout. You know, who decides to shoot the tryout? It's a conversation between the showrunner and the story producers, who are like sketching out the top level, like theoretical, like this is what could be an episode. Like, you have a basketball team, you know, so what happens in the season? So you have story meetings, like they would, you know, call it like that. And that helps determine your schedule, like how you allocate time and resources and budget to like what do you spend time shooting. And then it's similar on the back end, like, okay, we've shot this, people, like story producers don't have cameras, don't have gear usually, hopefully, but they're taking notes. in the field. They're out, okay, people are shooting and doing whatever. They're like, okay, like it's, 10 a.m., 10:30 a.m. This was a really interesting moment that was captured. So then that gets communicated to the edit room, so we have an idea of what to look out for. And so that's a key on like a show like that. It's a little different, like TV, like the speed of things matter. So if it's a film and you have longer, that would be more like fully the editor deciding like the actual story. But when it's quick, you kind of, that's what sometimes takes the most time with like a documentary. You have all those footage, like, okay, what is it about? Whereas if you go into it with it, I mean, it's always better to have an idea. But yeah, on that show, it was story producers, showrunner. He was very involved. Showrunner, he used to be an editor. He was a director. Showrunner is what they call it on a TV show, basically, because a TV show, each episode, especially if it's scripted, will have a director. So they're not the director generally on a scripted show, but they're there throughout the whole season because different episodes will have different directors, often, almost always. But they're the ones who are, it's sort of what it sounds like, running the show. They're like the top. They're not necessarily always the creative heads, though they sometimes are. But they're just like, make sure this shit gets done on time, like in the budget, on schedule, basically.
So you've got the total of 8 hours.
It's less because only the first and the last one are like double episodes, or like the rest of them are like 20 to 30. How's it going?
This is
Tariq?
Max.
Yeah, the rest of them are closer to half hours, so it's 6. So it's,
So you've got
whatever it is.
6 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
Material. How many hours were shot in of that?
It's a great question. I should have looked up the real number. Hundreds, a couple hundred.
100 hours.
Easy. They shot all these games. They shot all this. It was months where they were shooting like most days, whether it was a game or like with the family at home. Christmas. There was a lot of days of shooting.
So I don't know if this works as an idea or not, but everybody. And this is Minky.
Hey, how's it going?
So everybody in the room has now got a.
Oh yeah.
Wait, Boubacar is coming up, and then I need to, in fact, gentlemen, if I can ask you all, you three, you guys can go in there first.
Have you talked? Okay. Come with me.
Me? All right.